muscle. So I've got a committee across the company now that is involved in setting this price, which has been really important. It's an implementation model that I learned. But put out the price on carbon, then I just associate that, and basically the formula is, I multiply by the carbon emissions associated with the energy consumption or the miles flown. And then I cascade that through existing financial structures in the organization. So then and I work with the finance group, and what I did was I leveraged existing chargeback models that the company had, so I didn't create more work. That was the challenge the CFO gave to me, was this is a great idea. He was going to pay for it all at the top first, and I said, no, please don't. I mean, I know he's paying for it in the end, but please don't. I want this cascaded down to the business groups, because I need those business leaders at the table to talk about how we're going to spend this money, and I need them to be engaged for how we move forward with this process. So he said make it simple. So I worked with his finance team to find existing financial structures to leverage and just tag along. And so now, as I mentioned, those business leaders have a line item that says carbon neutrality, and they pay a fee annually. I charge them each quarter. I collect the funds, and then I use those funds to go out now and to help the hurdle rate for efficiency projects. It's driving me crazy with our metering. I don't have metering in certain areas where I can start to hold people accountable. So this is going to start to help me with some metering, with some, and I take proposals for efficiency projects. It's also helping me meet the incremental costs of green electrons, so that when my data center group can either purchase green electrons or possibly source electrons or create innovative projects, biomass projects, and a data plant project that we're doing a pilot for now, or a biomass project in Ireland that you take the heat and funnel it through, and it's a combined heat process plant. Those are things that I can use this fund to help reduce the hurdle rates for some of these projects, as well investing in the carbon offset projects. So it's been very effective. I think what's exciting about it is what Harold at the end of the table mentioned, which I mentioned about the entrepreneurship, was I have a varied background as well, and starting up my own companies and then working with a large organizational structure, was how to make it work and how to change a giant organizational structure from the inside. And so that was a big effort. The company is on a huge virtuous cycle now. People are excited about it, and also I've got to say in closing about this how excited I am, because I'll bring the finance people in as I teach this concept across the inside of the organization. I'll get these finance people that are, why do I have to go talk to this green person about sustainability? And they come in, they're too busy, it's whatever time of month it is with them, and that cycle and the business cycle is grumpy, and they come in and I get them 15 minutes and they leave bright and light and so proud to be working at Microsoft and that we're doing this. And they didn't know about it before. And then they get excited about, of course, how they can start to use these policies, whether it's the command and control or the incentive-based or carbon fee, to start driving down their costs for their groups and changing the behavior. So it's been really exciting. So I think it's sort of a best case example, I think, for what we're seeing. Also, other organizations are starting to get pretty excited about it. And I know you mentioned Bloomberg. Bloomberg is working through the process to be considering an internal carbon fee for their operations. And as well, I'm going out to meet with the executive, environmental executive for the White House for the internal operations of the federal government. And Coca-Cola, Brian of Coca-Cola is trying a slightly different model with some cap and trade. Oh, what I wanted to emphasize with this is it's a use model. There's not trading scheme. It was all way too complicated. We just needed a very simple use model, because that also, I didn't want to distract people from how do I consume less and what is the sourcing of my consumption by all this trading. So I kept it very simple.
Thank you. So Kevin, we're clean up. Kevin, as I mentioned, not only consults in this region but across the country for all sizes of businesses, he also teaches. He teaches, and I've had the privilege of both watching him and sitting in his classroom at BGI. So, from your perspective in these other firms?
Well, first I'll tell you a little about overview and give you the perspective. So my firm, Sustainable Business Consulting, we have been around about 7 or 8 years. We were founded kind of off the two premises that both Jim and TJ said. That, we, soon as tonight, we're going to start calling each other wrong names. We were basically, I came to Seattle, really focused on the business case of sustainability. And 4 years ago, I wrote a book called Return on Sustainability: How Companies Can Address Climate Change, Increase Profitability, in an uncertain economy. And the idea was that, knowing that where the economy was headed, we didn't want companies to all just gut their sustainability programs. And of course, that's what everybody did. And it was supposed to just be a timely piece for a short recession, but of course we're still in this uncertain economy, and so it's still, unfortunately, very timely. But my company, basically, we focus on taking the broader perspective of sustainability. We have 5 key focus areas, and I know today's topic area is about integrated reporting, so I'm going to really get into that a little bit more. But we work with companies depending on where they are on the spectrum. So from the beginning standpoint of doing a sustainability assessment or their very first carbon footprint, to helping them set their goals and their visions, to developing their implementation and action items to what they can actually do inside to address the operational issues, to employee engagement, and lastly to the external reporting and communications, which is so important. And we've really found, sustainability, I'm just going to talk about it from a different lens, because we've worked with about 80 different organizations globally, from some of the local brands here, REI and Nordstrom and Drugstore.com and Coinstar Red Box, to some other global firms, as well as small firms. We work with local law firms and real estate and accounting firms around town to work with them about how they can address sustainability. And the topic of kind of integrated reporting really bubbled up to me as something that I wanted to talk about, because we go in and we get approached by companies for very different reasons. You guys are internal, we're external. And like Jim, I have to somewhat play a bit of translator role as a consultant, in that each company comes to us with a little bit different reason. And to Jim's point, no one comes to us anymore because it's the right thing to do. They want to engage with us because they've got shareholder pressure and they need to respond to something. Oftentimes we'll get a call that'll say, we got to answer this CDP thing. We don't know what that means. Can you come in and do a CDP? And we're like, well, actually, I need to do greenhouse gas inventory. And they're like, what is that? And so we start there. A lot of the work comes to us because suppliers and customers are asking them to fill out questionnaires, whether it's Walmart, or Target, or Microsoft, or HP, or whoever it might be, is pushing them down that path. Customers come to them and say, we want to know how you're doing because we're thinking of changing our vendor policy, and we want you to still be a provided vendor and have a relationship with us. We had an example where we were working with a dairy producer that Walmart, who was their biggest customer, had said, we want to know your environmental benefits around sustainability. And it's a classic case of legal had some ideas about what was in their cartons, and HR had some ideas, and PR and marketing, but nobody had a real consistent message. And we were there saying, well, we can pull that together for you, for about $10,000 we'll pull it together, and you should be able to answer this questionnaire. They dragged their feet all through the summer, and of course, by the fall, a competitor came in and swiped up $300 million worth of business for a $10,000 contract. So it's real money and it's real business. And when companies come to us, they are, whether they're looking for leadership or they're certainly for a competitive advantage or trying to respond to one of these questionnaires, we found over and over with kind of the taking approach of integrated reporting and sustainability reporting is it helps them uncover risks and things that they weren't even aware of in their normal business mentality. Even to our standpoint, Patrick mentioned the Global Reporting Initiative, which is about ready to release their 4th set of guidelines here come January. And there's all types of questions in there that no one's ever been asked. And as TJ's saying, your finance and accounting people, they've done stuff and they've probably done it in a very ethical way, but they might not have a policy on it because it's just inherent. You're forced companies to actually answer questions and management to step up to the table and say, this is our approach that we're going to take on social and environmental and human rights issues, even though it's already kind of baked into the values that take to the company, it forces them to do system. And really just hitting